Good morning. My name is Regina Rimbert, and I am the CEO for BuyVet. BuyVet is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to support, promote, and advocate for veteran-owned businesses. This year in 2021, we'll be doing something a little different. We're going to actually be doing personal interviews with some of our veteran business owners out there. And so today we have a very special guest with us, and I'm pleased and honored to have her here with us today. I'm going to do a brief introduction on her, but I wanted to just give you a preview. This is Mutts Sauce, and she is the founder and CEO of the company that produces Mutts Sauce. So I'm getting ready to introduce here Miss Charlynda Scales, and again, she's the founder and CEO for Mutts Sauce. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to her and just let her tell you how long she's been in business, and just ask her to describe her why, or why she decided to go into business. So I'll turn it over to you, Miss Scales.
I want to say thank you, Ms. Rimbert, and the whole BuyVet family for having me on this Inner Stories and to continue our camaraderie as veterans. My story is actually about my grandfather. So my business story is about his life. And I grew up with my grandfather. His name is Charlie Farrell. He was a Korean Vietnam War veteran, and his call sign was Mutt. They said he could blend in anywhere, and he had friends all over the world. And when he was serving as an aircraft mechanic, he traveled around with his 5 kids and my grandmother. And one thing that he was really passionate about besides service was sauce. And he had a desire to make one sauce for all. He actually had a problem with condiments. He thought people were wasteful. So you probably have 10 of them in your fridge and you don't use them all. They just expire. But that was the problem that he was trying to solve, was to be efficient with your meals as well as them taste good. So he made this sauce in 1956. It had been in our family since 1956. It never was a company. We just ate it, at family meals. And he passed away from cancer in about 2005, I believe. I had just graduated from college. It was less than a year after I graduated. And by this point, I have followed in his footsteps. I'm the 4th generation veteran. Our family has served in every branch except for the Coast Guard. And I went into the Air Force like him. I really admired all the things that he had done, and I wanted to just continue that military legacy. So after I had graduated and gone into the military, I'd been on active duty for about 8 years when I was eating a meal, and I told my mom that it really tasted horrible. And the reason why was because I thought the sauce is missing. And it dawned on me that I had not had that sauce since he passed away, and I didn't know anyone who knew how to make it. So when I talked to her, I saw her again, and she said, "Your grandfather told me to give you something." And she handed me an envelope, and it was the original recipe. She said, "Before your grandfather passed away, he said, give this to my granddaughter." And she said, I didn't know how to tell my 5 brothers and sisters that he skipped all of us and gave it to the granddaughter and didn't say why. So I said, "That's why you waited 8 years to hand me this piece of paper." "Yes." I said, "Well, what am I supposed to do with it?" "I don't know. Figure it out. Think about it." So I did. I just, took some time and thought about it, prayed over it, tried to figure out what is the purpose of this. He knew that I'm serving my country. He was the first person to salute me when I went on active duty. So he knew that I was going to fulfill the military legacy for the family in my generation. But I just felt like this was bigger than me. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs feel like this calling, like this is bigger than me. I have to do something. I don't know what, but I'm just going to follow my feeling and see where it leads me. And it led me to SCORE, which is an organization that provides free mentorship. My SCORE mentor, John Suter, was about my grandfather's age. And I told him I wanted to make a few bottles for friends and family. I didn't have the time to be in my kitchen because I'm on active duty. He said, you can do a lot more for your family if you start a business, and I'm going to teach you how to go get this manufactured by someone else, and then you can make it in big quantities and sell it and take those sales, and eventually you will be able to really take care of your family in a bigger way. And so I just followed his advice, which I thought was very cathartic for me, having lost my grandfather and being able to have these sessions with him. The guidance that I really wished I had from my grandfather, I was getting with John. We launched Mutts Sauce in 2013. I made 700 bottles that were hand poured by the Amish out in Chillicothe, Ohio. And we sold every bottle within a week. So I went back to him and I said, well, what do we do? He said, you take the money and you make more sauce. You just repeat over and over. And I said, it can't be that simple. He was like, well, it's a little bit more complicated, but simplified, yes. You take that, you reinvest it, and you keep going. So we've been doing that for about 6 years now. And my why is legacy. I now have a son. I think about my family and how I look in the food industry, and there's so many big names. And as a young Black girl from the hills of Tennessee, I would love for someone to hear my family name and know that that represents a family that was determined to impact others, to help continue to serve their country, not just through us joining the military, but improving family meals, making sure that you're sitting down to the dinner table and having important conversations that changed everything for you and your spouse, you and your children. I mean, that's the impact of food. I'm now seeing that. So right now, I'll say that is my why. I think people's why can evolve over time with your life experiences, but one bottle at a time, we're going to impact American families.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So one question, how do you feel that being a veteran or a member of the military has influenced your business and the decisions that you've made over time?
There's a couple things. And when I was active duty, I was an acquisitions program manager. And we are, I would say, glorified team leaders, because we have to know who's an expert in their field, and we have to put together a lot of different skill sets to get the mission done. I've been in high ops tempo jobs since the beginning of my career. And when you're an entrepreneur, you have to think on your feet. Sometimes you have to solve problems very quickly. And I think that the military does a great job of training you to think on your feet and to execute quickly and efficiently, and to make sure that you understand the steps that you have to take to get the job done. I mean, you don't have time to sit around and think too long on some issues. But that plus the core values, I think relationships are important. Relationships can make or break your opportunities. And in the military, you have to think about those relationships and your core values and how that impacts your ability to do well. Mm-hmm. You're not going to do well in the military if you can't adhere to your core values. So I love that. And the part that is not as rosy, but is still a commonality with a lot of veterans, is we've been through a lot. I talk to veterans, my comrades, we've been through a lot, some good, some bad. And the things that are challenges and we struggle with, we've learned to compartmentalize. So compartmentalization is a very common trait amongst veterans. Whether it's trauma or bad experiences, we still have to get the job done on active duty. And sometimes you got to put that pain in a box and keep going.
Right.
There's no time to wallow in your emotions. And a roller coaster of emotions is entrepreneurship. I mean, you're going to see highs and lows. I've had times where I had to sleep in my car. I've been through the ringer. And being able to compartmentalize and say, you know what, this is not a bad life. It's a bad moment. And I'm going to get through this moment and I'm going to go to the next thing because my why is driving me. So I know this is bigger than me. I believe in something bigger than myself. So I know that I can't fail. I just have to just keep going.
Right.
And the ability to compartmentalize, I've done it with my personal life and I've done it in my business, and it has led to me being successful in some situations because I can do that.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So what's one solid piece of advice that you would offer a fellow veteran, either one that's currently in business or one that's thinking about starting a business? One solid piece of advice that you can offer.
Do the math. First, do the math, because they glamorize on social media entrepreneurship, that it's this, you work a little bit and the next thing you know, you're sitting next to a private jet and the Bugatti and all this stuff, and it's not glamorous. It's not, and the path to making a lot of money for the majority of entrepreneurs is a long road. You still got to get past the 5-year mark, is I think the cutoff for whether or not your business is going to survive. So do the math and know when you can actually be a full-time entrepreneur. That's the other part that people don't talk about out loud. Many entrepreneurs are working a separate job while they're building their company. I was on active duty for 2 years before I left and went into the reserves. And even then, I used my skills as a program manager to get contracts with the government that would help pay for, keep a roof over my head and stuff. Because things happen like net contracts with your wholesalers or anybody you're selling to. I learned that the hard way. I got a contract for thousands of dollars for a wholesaler. So I went out and had all this stuff manufactured, about $30,000 worth of sauce. And then the wholesaler came back. I said, "Where's my money?" They're like, "Oh, well, we don't have to pay you for 90 days. So what do you do when you're, down 30 grand for the next 90 days? You have to think about that. You have to think about the operations of your business, who you're doing business with, and how much it costs for you to take care of yourself, pay your bills, keep everything going, and take care of your family. And the second thing I will say is make sure that you communicate with anybody who is affected by your journey of entrepreneurship. I've seen this be the downfall of marriages, relationships, with an entrepreneur just dives headfirst into building their company, and they're spending so much time because they're passionate about it. They're clearly passionate, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you've been at your computer for 8 hours and you haven't spent any time with your family, and you haven't told them why something is so important. And they have emotions, and you have to tend to those emotions. And it's just like if you were deployed, and we tell the families that they serve too, because they waited and they made care packages and that was their service. You have to think about that in terms of entrepreneurship. They are along this ride. They're everything that you do, and you owe it to them to communicate priorities and to make time for them. So that is what I would.
Yeah, that is excellent advice. Excellent advice. Thank you so much. So is there anything else that you would like to share with us about your journey and your business and how things are going?
Well, since COVID, we are 90% e-commerce. So we switched from focusing on in-person events and trade shows, because COVID actually shut down all of our events for 2020. And e-commerce is the way that we have survived the pandemic. And my mantra is meet people where they are. If we're going to serve you, we're going to find out where you're at, and we're going to serve you. I don't want to force you into a grocery store. I want to make sure that you can still have this experience from the comfort of your home. So we invested money into these boxes that I just announced the other day, that we have these custom boxes that you
Mhm.
can buy from us, and it has the 3-pack of sauce.
Nice.
And we also just looking at ways that you can have the best experience possible. It's an
Okay.
experience when you buy
Yes.
from us.
Yes.
And the feedback we got was, hey, I would like this limited edition flavor. We make limited editions in the past, and I didn't realize how much we had to spend just to make a limited edition flavor. And the only difference between all the flavors of Mutts Sauce are spices.
Mhm.
So the base sauce is the same recipe. We just add different spices to every bottle. So this way, I wanted to bring back all the limited edition flavors for people without breaking our bottom line. So I started selling the spices that you can make your own limited edition.
Mhm.
And there were other requests that I got from people where they wanted us to make our ghost pepper, for example. They wanted us to make it spicier. But I'm not in the business of hurting people. I want you to enjoy your food. It should be pleasant. You know, it should be pleasant. But if that is your prerogative, in our 3-pack, you can get garlic ghost pepper. So it's a blend, garlic ghost pepper, and it's made with real powdered ghost pepper. So it's hot. Like you have to put gloves and masks and stuff on when you make this. So people who like spicy food, we want you to appreciate it. We have berbere, which we made for a wedding. A young lady who is from Ethiopia, they have a dish that they make traditionally for their family, and berbere is the spice that they mix with tomato paste and chicken, I believe.
Mhm.
And she ran out of tomato paste and used Mutts Sauce. And
Mm.
they said, "This is the best dish you've ever made. What did you do?" She said, I used Mutts Sauce. So as a gift, we made her like her own case of berbere Mutts Sauce. And I thought that it would be fun to let everybody else try it too.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's
so
all about the experience.
yes, yes, absolutely. So that's one of the reasons for BuyVet, and I think why BuyVet is so important, because um, we need to know who each other are. We need to be able to support one another. And if I had known about Mutts Sauce a long time ago, we would have certainly been enjoying it, because it is awesome. If you have not had an opportunity to order some, please do and share with your family. It's awesome. So I'm so pleased to know, Ms. Scales, glad we had the opportunity to meet and to get to know one another, and really look forward to working with each other in the future, and the rest of our veteran entrepreneurs out there. So if we're looking for Mutts Sauce, how can we find it? And what social
Yes,
media platforms are you on?
all of our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is at Mutts Sauce. And then you can buy directly from muttssauce.com.
Okay. All right. Fabulous. Okay. Well, again, thank you for your time today, Ms. Scales. I really appreciate it, and look forward to much success for you in the future, and just getting to know you. You've been an absolute joy, and I really appreciate your time today. So thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
and you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.